This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Rated RP to M. You're listening to an ad for PC Game Pass. Want new games on day one like Avowed or Football Manager 25? Say nothing if you're getting excited. Thought so. Did I mention legendary franchises like Diablo? And all for one low monthly price? 3 words. We got you. Learn more at xbox.com/PC Game Pass. Some games reference coming soon. Game catalog varies by region and over time. Any questions? I'm just kidding. I can't hear you.
Your neighborhood just got cooler with Kroger Delivery's refrigerated trucks. Simply order groceries at the same great prices online as in-store, and we'll bring them to you fresh every time. And if that wasn't cool enough, you can now earn 4 times the fuel points after 4 with your digital coupon. Choose a next-day Kroger Delivery time slot for 4 p.m. or later on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Must deliver by February 4th. Restrictions apply. See Kroger.com for details.
And I'm the whacker. I'm that guy, unfortunately, if you disrespect me enough.
Hello, I'm your host, Les Bubka. Welcome to Anxious Black Belt, a podcast that focuses on karate, mental health, and everything in between. If you enjoy our content and would like to support us, best way to do that is to listen to another episode, share it with your friends, and leave us a review. All this stuff helps the mysterious algorithm to introduce our podcast to new audience. Thank you for joining me, and let's listen to the episode.
Because we've done a pod. Just chatting, we've done a pod.
Hi guys, so as I said, I'm going to take the podcast on the road, and today I had the pleasure to be on a fantastic event organized by Shihan Terry Birkett, Misogi training, and now we're in his car doing a podcast. How are you, Terry?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. On the road. This is the first podcast I've done sat in my car, but yeah, it's going to work. Like we say, because you're not doing a visual one, we're just doing a audio one. So this is just like we were just sat in the pub chatting, talking about stuff, and now we're recording it. Some of the greatest podcasts in the world have been missed.
Yep.
Because they wasn't recorded.
How did you come up with Misogi training? Where did that history coming from?
Well, my Shihan Gary Buffton, he started doing the Misogi in Japan. In Japan, it was a big thing. They used to do it on the winter camp. So he was doing the Misogi training in Japan, brought it back here. So because he's an outdoor pursuits instructor and he used to be in the military, he knows all the areas because it's where the military train. And he knew where the scooter rider waterfall was. And he thought, we'll bring this Misogi, this tradition, waterfall training, to the waterfall. And so he's been doing it there since the mid to late 70s. There was a big Blue Peter show on it in about 86.
Yeah, one of the guys who was training today, he said he was part of it, the older gentleman.
No, that's a different one. The original Blue Peter one was done in 1986, and there was about 100 people there, right?
Okay.
And that went on. I've been doing Kyokushin since 92, and I've been doing waterfall training since 93. So 93, 94, something like that was the first time I'd done it, because I was only about 13 or 14 myself. When I started doing it, and Gary was leading it, and we'd go all the way through. Now, a couple of years ago, there was an anniversary of the Blue Peter one, because Karen Keating came and did the Blue Peter one, but she died. I think it was the 30-year anniversary, I think it might have been. They did an anniversary, and Blue Peter reached out. They just searched karate clubs in the area, and they got hold of Shihan Alwyn Heath and some of the other guys that have done it once or twice, but they were not involved with the proper Misogi doing it like we do it. and kind of hijacked it, and they did the show as if it was them that done it. So he went to that one, which was might have been about 10 years ago or something like that. So yeah, that's not the original Blue Peter episode. The original Blue Peter one from '86, there was like 100 people there. So you imagine how we were there today. Imagine 100 people along those ledges as well. Well, saying that it's changed. It's changed a lot. A lot of it has been washed away. Back then, 30, 40 years ago, I'm sure there was a bit more ledge space and a bit more space on it to stand on. But yeah, a lot of the guys that have come today, they've been doing it with me for the last couple of years. Some of them is their first time today. So is it first time for you today doing it?
First time for me.
How did you find it?
I find it easier than I built myself up for it. Right.
Yeah.
It was freezing. I didn't feel my feet, but I kind of experimenting with a cold exposure for some time. So it was nice. It's kind of reset, like you said.
Yeah. A nice reset.
Flash from the body, flash from the mind. And I like it that it's beginning of the year because everybody's got the new kind of goals set up, and this gets the hard work first.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. You do something that's very hard and a challenge to overcome at the beginning of the year. It sets you up for the rest of the year then. It's a tough thing, but it's not impossible. There's people, some people are not good with the cold. They struggle a lot with it. I'm fairly comfortable with cold. I live in the Welsh valleys, so I'm comfortable with the cold. So it's not, some years is a little bit milder. This year, the water was particularly cold. And as you've seen, me and Matt, we stay there with everyone and we hold their belts. So we're essentially under the water the longest because we're holding everyone as they do their 50 punches. So we start to feel it by the end. The arm starts going numb and you start to get the shivers in a little bit. But it's not, it's nothing crazy. I don't know. I think it's more to do with the fact that people are a bit lazy. And it's a big pot. You've got to get up. You've got to leave early. You've got to get all your stuff. We meet up. You've got to walk across the mountains for 2 kilometers. We do our bit. And then we walk back, but everybody feels amazing afterwards when they're coming back.
Yeah, I've got a saying that the pain fades away, but the memory stays.
Exactly.
And that's what happens with most of like memorable events. It was really, really hard, but when you feel you think about the can't speak today. Retrospectively, it's something that you remember and you're proud of, and I think this is something that people can really relate on.
Myself, I've been doing it since I was 14, and since 2014, I've led it. I've taken over and done it. But even now, I'm like every year, I'm like, I don't want to fucking do it. Do I need to do it? I've been doing this, so I don't need to do it. I can't be bothered to do it anymore. I don't need to do it. And then that you get off and you take the clothes off and you're on the side and you're like, I don't need to be doing this anymore now. I've done it enough. But then as soon as we're in it and we start punching and as soon as you get in that water and you're in that spray, you do your bit, then you're like, I love it. I love it. Yeah. I absolutely love it.
I think as well the camaraderie helps because you've got 30 people. Today was a bit less.
Today was less. I mean, last year we had 40 odd people. This year we had about 15. But there was a lot of people pulled out of coming this year. But we do have a weather warning this afternoon in Wales. We do have an amber alert for snow. But so a lot of people pulled out on it. But there's been times when there's just been me, Matt, and one other. And we've gone up and done exactly the same thing.
I think for me, I was wondering how you're going to sort out the issue of safety, but you managed it very, very well. You've been guiding people. You had people holding other people, so nobody was doing it themselves.
No, so these are these things that I've looked at. I mean, people slip all the time. When they step off that back ledge and they step down, people slip. Every year I've seen people slip. And one year I seen someone slip on his arse and he was just carried on going towards the edge. And I actually, because I wasn't leading it then, I actually come down off the ledge and grabbed him. So I'm like, no, everyone turn their belts around. I'll step me and a senior, Matt, who were well used to it. Matt's done it dozens and dozens of times with me. grab the belt and we'll hold you. Because you slip.
Mm.
And if you get disorientated and that water hits you and you start to go a bit, you're going to go forwards. And then you're just going to be crushed down in that water.
Because that's what one thing was that if you're under that water, your head, you get an instant kind of panic attack,
Yeah.
headache, and disorientation. And it was nice to have that warning from you guys about the breathing and shouting, that when you shout, you don't lose your breath. If you
Yeah.
don't, it's going to be taken away
Yeah.
through the cold.
So an original way of doing Misogi is they don't punch and kick under the waterfall. That's like a karate thing that we've, not me, but like Oyama brought in, doing the punching under the water. But like the Misogi is you just sit under the water. You either sit in seiza or you sit or you just stand in fudodachi, but you just stand in the water and you have to fight and concentrate to be able to breathe. Because like we said, that water will take your breath away. So to make it easier, we do the ki-in. So as you're shouting, the breath is coming out. You can get more breath in. You're doing some punching, which keeps you moving and keeps you active a little bit. So the way we do it for people is a more of an enjoyable experience. But the way, if you really want to do Misogi properly, you just sit there under the water pretty much until you can't take it anymore. But that's okay when you're doing it under a little buffeting waterfall in Japan and you've got people around you. We are in the middle of the mountains up here. Like you said, the nearest house is 2 kilometers across country, across land. We go down into the ravine. If something happens to you down in that ravine, you're not getting out of there. You're literally mountain rescue, air ambulance onto the mountains. So that's why I need to be a bit more responsible as well. I thought if someone gets injured or something's happened, I don't want that on my watch. So I've added these little bits of safety things, and I make it everyone's safety is my personal responsibility now. So I make sure that everyone who goes on the mountain comes off the mountain and they're all safe.
And your event is open to everybody, right?
Anyone can come.
Krav Maga.
Yeah. So today now we had
Jess.
Jess, a friend of mine. She came down. She's Krav Maga. Like she lives in Manchester. They've come down from Manchester. Matt, who's my number 2 guy, really. He comes down from Buxton. That's like a 3.5, 4 hour drive. We've had all the guys that came down from Kent. That's like a 4 hour drive. We should have had a pile from Birmingham. We should have had a pile from London. They've pulled out just before, can't make it. I mean, to be honest, even my own students, only one of them came today, which I'm quite annoyed with, because we are the host dojo. I've told everyone it's important for you to be there. But, people have their excuses. Oh, I'm busy, I'm doing this, or I haven't been well and stuff. And so, you know what it's like. You have the best intentions. You put stuff on. It's open. It's free. There's no charge. I even do a session on the Friday night now for the people who travel as a little extra to thank them for coming. Don't take a penny off anyone. It's a free open event about us getting together, training, suffering, and then afterwards we break bread and we see the new year in.
Yeah, it was nice to be. We had a little bit of a snow, which was
that was beautiful.
Yeah.
We had a flutter of snow. Like I said, I can't remember the last time it snowed when we were up on there. So that little flutter was beautiful because the landscape is breathtaking when it's all snow on there. It's absolutely breathtaking.
Plus, you organized a nice little drink in a pub that you go in there for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's a very old pub with a
it's
proper fireplace.
Yeah, one of the last bastions of the British town pub. Like we got Wetherspoons everywhere and stuff, and they're a lot more commercial. But like you said, this pub's been there. What did you say? 300 odd years. The pub has been there. It's got a fireplace. There's history there.
Yeah.
Those flagstones that we were stood on have been down for 300 years. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
How many other people have stepped there?
Yeah.
And we've stepped there as well.
And you feel the atmosphere as well there, and a bit of a quirkiness of their owner and stuff like that. And
yeah, it is. It's lovely.
Obviously, you feel like at home there because you know them very well and they know you very well. And
you
feel that atmosphere
once a year. I only ever go there.
But that's 30 years nearly.
They know. Yeah. They know it. Like I said, so Gary, who started it, they've been going to that pub since the late 70s, and Phil's been the landlord there since the 70s.
Cool.
Crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy.
It's very unusual nowadays to have people being in one place for so long.
Yes, it is. It is. You see it a lot more in the Welsh towns because it's quite insular, closed community. We say people are literally born and die in the village. They've never, without ever leaving it. So yeah, it is very rare to see that today, but it's nice.
So you've been doing always Kyokushin, or you started somewhere else? Can you take us through the
No,
history
no.
of your training?
I started Kyokushin in 1992, September 1992, and I've always done Kyokushin. That's my staple. That's my base. But I've cross trained from about a yellow belt, green belt. I started cross training and basically doing anything that was around me. So I've done Aikido, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, a lot of weapon work, Kobudo, stuff like that. Never fancied Kung Fu. Never really appealed to me, the Kung Fu stuff. But Japanese martial arts did. So just carried on through there. Towards my late teens, I started doing door work and stuff. And I started getting involved with like Jeff Thompson and Peter Constantine, the British Combat Association. And that really opened my eyes because I was doing essentially tournament karate up until that point. And when they opened up the eyes of, headbutting, biting, gouging, choking, real world fighting, and then I started doing door work as well, my training changed. So from tournament karate to, like we say, real karate. I mean, I don't like to say practical karate because lots of people are using the word practical karate now, and it's taken away from it. But real karate. And then I came up with the little slogan, real karate for real fights. So if you're having a fight on the street, the karate that I'm teaching, that's the karate you're going to be using. Yeah, and we just carried on from there. And now I tend to try and concentrate more of unlocking what we do, because we do a lot of stuff that we have no idea what we're doing. And it's so many people have had an influence on the end technique that we now do that is absolutely nothing like the original technique. And the original bunkai that would have gone with it absolutely does not work. So we're trying to unlock things like, yourself does it, Les, where you're trying to unlock the throws and the grabs and the takedowns from these kata movements and stuff. And it's like, sometimes it's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And you're like, yeah, but that could be this and that could be that and it could be this. But our movements have changed so much that like the bunkai doesn't work. For me now, kata has become an exercise, just a calisthenic exercise, basically. It does your power, coordination, strength, working. It gives you all of that, your focus, kime. But I like to say, you won't learn how to throw from a kata. If you do a kata and you do that kata a million times, you won't know how to throw. You'll know how to throw from going and doing judo or jiu-jitsu. And then you can relate that throw to that movement in the kata. And you can be like, oh, I can see how what that movement is and how that would have worked. But you will never learn the throw just by doing the kata.
Yeah, it's different dynamics, isn't it? You have to have a body to throw.
Exactly. You will never learn it by the throw. So I like to think of kata today as, like some people say, everything's hidden in the katas. You can win any fight by doing the katas. You won't. The kata is just like a dance. I like to think kata gives us echoes of what it should have been. So yourself, back in the day, you'd do a drill, you'd train that drill with your partner. When your partner wasn't there, you train the movement of the drill on your own. And then you'd show your mates. You'd be like, let me show you this drill that we've been working on. You'd show your mate the drill without a partner. And then we were like, oh, well, why don't we put these drills together and I'll show you and you can show your mate. Then we have a kata.
Yeah.
That's where kata came from. But we learn kata and we are forgetting the drilling and the learning the techniques. Learn the throw, then do the kata after. We are doing the kata and trying to decipher the throw out of it.
Yeah.
And that's what it's a lot of the stuff we see people doing, I think, is shoehorned in, and it's not quite right.
Why Kyokushin? Why you stayed with Kyokushin? What's so special about Kyokushin?
Kyokushin was the first club I went to.
Or maybe karate. What's so special about karate?
Well, Kyokushin karate was the first one I went to.
But then you could move to combat sports, combat systems.
I I like fighting,
Mm.
but I like the structure of karate. I like the respect, the discipline, the Budo element. It gives you something. Otherwise, you'd just be an MMA fighter. You would just be MMA, and you would be a thug, and you'd be a twat.
Well, not everybody is, but
Not everyone, but
generalization, yeah. But
I've seen a lot of MMA dojos, gyms. There's no respect. There's no etiquette. You look at BJJ today. Watch a BJJ tournament. There's no etiquette. There's no respect. People are shouting and booing, arguing with refs, doing that. You would never have that in a Kyokushin tournament, ever. I've never seen it. Maybe today on some of these smaller tournaments, you might see some bits, but I've never seen a Kyokushin tournament where the crowd argues with the ref or there's fighting in the crowd, because that's not Budo. You'd be frowned upon and you'd be kicked out of whatever the stadium is.
for sure.
So yeah, Kyokushin is my staple, really. That's and the whole ethos of Kyokushin, the ultimate truth association. It doesn't mean never tell a lie. It means be true to yourself. Be true. We were talking about it earlier. If you can't do 10 press-ups, there's something fucking wrong. If you're a black belt in karate and you can't do 10 good press-ups and you've got 2 arms and you haven't got an injury or something, then you are fundamentally going wrong somewhere if you are struggling to do 10 press-ups. You're doing the arty-farty, airy-fairy, fluffy stuff that looks good, but you're not doing the core fundamental training to develop the power and the strength to be able to punch someone and knock them out and damage them. You can't air punch and then punch someone for real in the face. You punch someone in the face, it's going to hurt you. It's a solid bone object. You've got to do the push-ups. You've got to do the training. You've got to do that ancillary exercises that I call them. And that's why Kyokushin suits me. I think if I'm quite suited to grappling as well, because I'm a short, stocky frame, strong grip. I like jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu suits me, but I also like to hit. So while I do jiu-jitsu and I enjoy it, that will never take the place of karate. And the more and now that I've understood a bit of jiu-jitsu, a bit of judo, it's unlocking more of my karate for me. I'm looking at stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, that move makes sense.
It does make a change.
Yeah, and like you doing simple movements like the turn with the gedan brai stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, that's ogoshi hip throw. So that's making sense. Or some movement you'd come in and step, and you're like, oh, that's a seonagi throw, and you're like, oh, yeah, it makes much more sense to me. But I couldn't learn that from doing kata. You have to learn that outside, and then you can relate it, and you go, oh yeah, that I can see where that would have been there.
Well, I think you could learn it if you've got a partner and you're gonna copy the move, but it takes you a lot longer when you can go and learn it better somewhere else and bring it back.
The problem with our kata is the movement has been so stylized to make it aesthetically pleasing that if you try to do the throw from doing that aesthetic movement, it's very, very difficult. Whereas you'll learn the throw, you're right up on your feet, you get the body weight, you lift with the hips. And once you've learned the throw, then you're like, oh, I can see how that's meant to be in karate. But purely karate people trying to grapple without any knowledge of grappling can be comical. Because they're trying to force stuff to work, and they're saying, look, see, this works. But then their partner is going with them. They're not doing it under duress. Like I say to my students, we practice this and we're still shit at it. When the guys who come and visit, so they don't do any throws, right? So I do the stuff with them and it's all mind-blowing stuff to them. And I say to them, look, you can't use this stuff. It's not going to work for you now. I say, we train it. We do it regularly every week and we're still shit at it because we're not judoka. We're not jiu-jitsu guys. It's not our bread and butter. We're trying to keep it in our karate and we can do a rudimental form of it. Like if we ended up having a scrap and I grabbed you, I could put you down. I could throw you over my shoulder. It won't win a nip-on, but it'll smash your head in on the floor. And for me, ultimately, that's what we want.
Karate,
yeah, that's what we want.
What karate had what impact it had or not had on your mental health?
Mental health, probably a lot, massively. So, what a lot of people don't realize, or people probably will say, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense, actually, if they know me, is I'm autistic. So we've discovered this later on in life in my 40s. My son is autistic, non-verbal autistic. And as we were researching it and finding out all the traits and everything, and we were like, oh yeah, that's me. Oh yeah, that's you. And my wife was like, oh yeah, that's you. And the more I understood, I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. Shit, I do that. That's me. So I've got a very unfiltered approach to life, which is why I tend to upset a lot of people. I say if it's in my mind, it's out my mouth. I'm just not filtered, and that's because of my autism. Um, I like things to go a certain way. I like structure. I like training like we do in karate. So starting doing karate from the age of 10, that was my life. Everything revolved around karate, and it's a good uh, litmus test for you because I had that rigidity and that training. I've carried it all through my life, everywhere to go through. So when you say that the mental health, I look at everything from a karate point of view of like a waterfall training. So this thing that's happening to me now is nothing compared to what I do. I do a 50-man kumite. I go on a camp, I get beaten up till I'm pissing blood, and I carry on going, and I keep pushing through it because that's what Kyokushin has taught me to do, to persevere, the ultimate truth, to get through it and never give up. That can be transferred into everything else in life. So I look at it as what would we do from a Kyokushin point of view? This has gone wrong. That's gone wrong. This has happened. That's happened. And you're like, just keep going. Just keep going on. Just keep ticking over. I'm a big fan of the self-help book genre stuff. Like I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn and people like that, Zig Ziglar. I'd listen to a lot of their stuff, and it's all about. It's the same shit that happens to all of us. It's how you deal with it that makes you an extraordinary person. Everyone has shit. You can let it get to you, and you can give up, or you can just keep on and on and on and going for it. Like I said to the guys, some people can't do a push-up. Some people, you say do a push-up position and they go straight on their knees or they go straight on their hands. And I'm like, why are you starting from a position of weakness? If that's where your base level is, you're like, I can't do push-ups on my fists. Start on your fists. Always start on your fist. And if you need to go to your hands, go to your hands. It's better to fail than to quit.
Yeah.
So, but what people do is they quit straight away. Oh no, I can't do it. You haven't fucking tried. Try. If you fail, great. You'll be a little bit better next time. Keep failing until you get better and better and better. And I use that Kyokushin litmus test for everything in life, really. I know you do a lot with your karate for mental health and stuff. So, what was your style? Like you Kyokushin,
Kyokushin,
roughly. Yeah, you're Kyokushin with a different name. That's it. So how do you find your karate for your mental health thing that you're doing with people?
So I actually was gonna say that exactly what you said. So the habits from karate spills over to people's life, and I see that I'm teaching people with mental health for 10 years nearly now,
Yeah.
and they say the same thing, that the overcoming obstacles, it spills over to their life, and they taking that approach. This is just a challenge. It's not a failure. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me a lot.
Yeah.
That being forced to do uncomfortable, painful things and don't give up.
Yeah.
And I think that's the huge benefit of karate, and I think that's why a lot of people should do it.
Yeah, it is. They got to do the right karate though, because there's
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a Kyokushin background. You've got a Kyokushin ethos.
Mhm.
Some karates have been so watered down and so soft that you don't get that. You won't have the persevere through, hard stuff. It's not instilled there. It's not there. I love the word gammon, not gammon steak, but gammon, where it is just this Japanese philosophy of persevering. but persevere with dignity. It's not, oh my God, this is terrible, this is terrible. Shut up. No one needs to listen to you. Persevere, get on with it, keep your gob shut, have some dignity, and you'll just get through it. Because you're going to die or you're going to get through. You can pick one of them.
Yeah.
I love those simple philosophies, same as Kaizen, constant, never-ending improvement, bit by bit by bit by bit. And as I said at the Falls, karate at its base is about learning to fuck someone else up, learning to defend yourself. Then it becomes about getting good at that, getting strong, getting fast, getting really good at hurting someone else. And then when you become so good at hurting someone else, it shifts to this whole building of character. I don't need to fight anymore because I know I can fight. Now I can avoid it and I can almost transcend violence. And now my karate becomes about me being better each day. And my opponent now is not, the attacker. My opponent is me. Oh, my legs are aching, I'm going to stop. Oh, my hands are aching, I'm going to stop. No, I need to keep going. I need to keep doing it. I need a little bit further, a little bit harder.
Yeah. You said about the watering of karate. What do you think about all the splits and everything in Kyokushin?
Well, that's politics and ego, isn't it? That's always going to be there. I mean, Oyama held a lot of it together, but we had a big split in the UK when Steve Arneill left Japan and created his own BKKIFK. But people think that was the first split, but it wasn't. There was a lot before them because you got Tadashi Nakamura left.
Ashihara.
You got Ashihara left. You've got Sato left. Shigeru, the two Oyama brothers, they left. And this is what people do though. If you've got a strong personal sense of identity about you, you do one thing that'll get you to one bit, and you're like, yeah, I will always be thankful to you for that, but I'm going to leave the nest now, and I'm going to go make my own nest. And you fly out, and they do their own things, and they've become big names, great people in their own. You look, Azuma left as well. Azuma went with Ashihara, trained with Ashihara, went off and developed Daido Juko and Kudo. And so it's not like, oh, you left, now you're crap. They've left and gone on to do bigger and better things in some cases.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of politics. We hear now today, like lots of people have not turned up or not come in, or we don't want to go because of who's organising it, or we want to go there, or we want to do this, or this name, that. Like I said, before you met me, you'd heard a lot about me. But I'm just honest with people. Politics comes into everything. I don't like that guy, so I'm not supporting him. I don't like what they do, I don't want to support them. And I understand that, I get that. I won't support someone I don't like. But I do like the karate, so I'll give it the test of what do I benefit from it. If I'm going in, I'm going to learn a load, and it's going to be great, I'll do it. If I don't think I'm going to get through that, or if I think I absolutely can't stand the people involved in it, I won't do it. Because I'm honest. I'm not a dick about it, but if you have something against me and you say something against me and then we come face to face, I'll be bringing it up to you and I'll be saying, you remember what you said online? Or you remember when you said this? Remember when you said you were going to do that? Well, here I am, so let's do it. Maybe that's the autistic side to me, but I won't let it go like that.
I think with the internet times now, it's a lot of people feel safe to say things they would never say.
Oh yeah,
in a conversation.
Like Mike Tyson said it, didn't he? He said, social media's got everybody feeling so comfortable in disrespecting people because they know they're not going to get punched in the face. Half the stuff people say online, they would never say to, 99% of it, you'd never say to someone's face. Certainly to certain people, because you'd get punched. Yep. You'd have a whack for it. And I'm the whacker. I'm that guy. Unfortunately, if you disrespect me enough, we will probably end up in a physical confrontation. And that's how I'm old school with it. I don't go and wouldn't physically abuse someone and slag them off. I do. I tell people to their face what I think, but in a respectful way. But if I was saying to you, oh, you're this and you're that and you're no, blah, blah, I'm expecting a punch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting to get into a scuffle now.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how it used to be, didn't it?
Mm. Speaking about how it used to be, so we talked earlier a little bit about the old ways of Kyokushin karate, where in the dojo you had the throws and full contact face punches and stuff like that. What do you think about the kind of branching of Kyokushin in Russia, where they bring in face punches again and stuff like that? For me, it looks a little bit more like a poor kickboxing.
Yeah,
I don't know what your
yeah,
thoughts
yeah.
about it. I
Well,
think it's the right direction,
that's been
but
around
it's
for a
a
while, that
yeah,
is.
yeah,
So it's not a new edition. I mean, I think it's called Shinken Shobu.
mm-hmm.
Shinken Shobu is knockdown fighting with like a little boxing glove on, and you
Mm-hmm.
do punches to the face
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
That I think they had a world tournament 2012.
Mm-hmm.
It was Kansho Royama of Kyokushin
Yeah.
Kan or Kyokushin Kan reintroduced face punching to
Mm.
Kyokushin tournaments. Excuse me. So they had Shinken Shobu
Mm-hmm.
tournaments, which were these punching to the face, but people don't like being punched in the face, Les.
Especially with the small glass.
Especially, it's not. I don't like being punched in
Mm.
the face. It's not nice.
No.
When I get punched in the face, I get hurt, and that triggers my defense.
Yeah.
I want to hurt you back. So I don't like being punched in the face, and lots of people don't.
Mm.
Some people do, and I find it's those people that are doing the Shinken Shobu
Mm-hmm.
tournaments. But if you watch two Kyokushin fighters doing Shinken Shobu, it's boring.
Mm.
It's really boring because they both know one punch could end the
Yeah,
fight.
yeah.
So they're very tentative. They don't do anything.
But in all high with a really good athlete sport. You look on BJJ, it's boring. If you look on wrestling, it's boring. Judo, it's
At
boring.
least with Kyokushin, there's an element of Kyokushin where there has to be attack.
Yeah.
So you'll have two top level fighters that are punching and kicking each
Mm.
other. They both know. I mean, like some tournaments are boring. You watch them and they don't do anything because they know one kick, I'm caught and I'm out. But the one of the attributes of that Kyokushin is it's a battle of attrition.
Mm.
If you're stood there not doing anything and the other person does a little bit, he beats you.
Mm.
So you know you have to fight back and do something to even advance.
Mm-hmm.
So it keeps the action going. It keeps it interesting. Like I say, you can watch a grappling fight. They'll be on the floor for 25 minutes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're like, "The fuck is going on?"
Yeah, you need to be a specialist to know
Yeah,
and
and like
appreciate it.
some people, what they're like, "Oh my god, you see what he did with the elbow?
Mm.
He moved the elbow. He's moved the foot. Oh, the ankles!" And you're like, "The fuck are they doing? Nothing's happened. Not a single punch has been thrown. I want my money back. I'm bored."
Yeah, that's why there's so much, because I've been involved in Olympic wrestling in Poland.
Yeah.
And that's why they just forcing the changes, because for an average person who watching it, it's just not interesting. So
And the
they
thing is,
keep bringing stupid
eyeballs
rules.
bring sponsorship.
Yeah,
They bring
exactly,
money.
exactly. It's all about money.
So yeah, if you're doing like specialist type stuff and it's boring to watch and no one wants to watch it, then you're like,
Mm.
what does the sport carry on going?
Mm.
And we could get quite controversial now and talk about things like women's basketball and women's football.
Mm.
Now they're amazing athletes,
Yeah.
and they do good. They get paid far less than the men do.
Yeah.
Same as in tennis, they get paid far less than the men do. But the men bring more sponsorship,
Mhm.
more eyeballs. If all the women in the world supported women's football, they would be huge. They'd be
Mm.
doing billions. But they don't.
Mm.
Women don't support women's football. A percentage of men watch it and support it because the athletes are fantastic. This takes nothing away from the women. They train just as hard as the men and they can play football well.
In cases in Polish team, women are far much better.
I think they had the English women's football team play against some school team of 15-year-olds,
Mm.
and the 15-year-olds completely wiped the floor with them. Different dynamics. Women's football's only been around what, decade?
I don't know.
I think maybe a decade. Same as like women's basketball in America. People go on about it. They're not paid the same as the males. Women's basketball is completely funded by the NBA, by the male basketball, because people don't go and watch it.
Mm.
And
I hope it's gonna change because my daughter is a footballer, so she wants to be a footballer. So
and it should change. But where, and I say like women's rights campaigners and feminists and stuff, where they're attacking men because men are paid more than the women in the football and doing that, why aren't they supported? They don't go and support the women's football. If all women supported women's football, I mean, we're talking about football now, but the same. If all the women supported each other in doing it, it'd be huge. It'd be massive. I can't even remember how we got onto that. Why are we talking about women's football?
Boring sports, I think.
Boring sports, yeah.
For high quality.
What brings brings
yeah,
eyeballs,
yeah.
brings sponsorship, brings money to it. Yeah.
What do you think is the future of Kyokushin? Will we see ever unification?
Never. There will never be unification now, ever. There will never be one Kyokushin organization in the world, ever. There's far too many organizations. Same as Shotokan. Will you ever see one Shotokan now? No. Will you ever see one BJJ? No. BJJ's gone the same way as Kyokushin have. The Gracies have lost their grip on it. It's broken up. And when you've got people then who doing like better than what look like Gordon Ryan with no-gi jiu-jitsu, the best on the planet. No Gracie can beat him in no-gi jiu-jitsu. And then they're like, well, I don't need to be with you. I've surpassed what you were doing in a sense. And it's the same with Kyokushin now. You'll have more splits. Like myself, I'm not under any Kyokushin of the big organizations. I'm an independent dojo. The bigger the organization you get into, the more politics there is. And I found, I almost joined an organization after being, since 2013, I've been independent, doing my own thing, Kyokushin based. And I almost joined one of the big organizations a couple of years ago. And I was literally about to pull the trigger because there are a lot of people in there that I respected. And I was about to pull the trigger to join. But then a group of other people joined it who I'm not huge fans with. And I was like, oh, I don't know. That's put me off now. But a good friend of mine who I respect in that organization said, well, try and reconcile. I tried to reconcile, got it. It's the thing of putting an olive branch out and then having it set on fire and thrown back to you. You're like, yeah, no, that ship is gone, dead and sailed. So I'm like, no, I'm not joining. I'm not interested in being involved with those people. So I probably won't join. Lots of people have said, why don't you do your own organization? Because we've got, a lot of international following. We do seminars and stuff. But again, it's time, lads. You asked me when we sat down, how many companies have I got now? I've got 3 companies. I'm too busy. Karate is my love. It's not my business. And when you start having an organization and multiple dojos, it becomes a business. And I don't want it to be a business. I don't want it to be a chore. Karate is what I love, which is why my dojo is small. I don't need to have people there. I'm very much of the ethos. You are privileged to be here training. I don't need you to be here training. This is not a gym. This is your privilege to be here, which is why the dojo's small. Because a lot of people, they've got this mentality of, no, this is a gym. I will come and go as I please. You have to grade me because I'm paying for fees and I'm paying lesson fees. I haven't been this week, so I want my money back. My dojo is you pay your fee each month, whether you turn up or not. If you don't turn up, that's your business. You pay your fees because you're paying to be a member of the dojo. If there's stuff you don't like, Gary once said to me, my Shihan, he was having a few problems in his dojo. And he once said to me, read them all the riot act and give everyone a bollocking. And he said, this is a dictatorship, not a democracy. And I've taken the same sort of ethos of my dojo is a dictatorship. I run it. It's not a democracy. Give me your opinion and give me your suggestions. And if I take them on board, I take them on board. If I don't, that's the end of it. That's the bottom line. If you don't like it, you go somewhere else. And I think that's people try to pander to people all the time. And you've got to put your foot down sometimes. You've got to draw a line in the sand and be like, this is my standard. I refuse to lower my standard to accommodate those who refuse to raise theirs.
Mm.
I love that saying. Some general somewhere said
Yeah.
that. And it's true. Why should I dumb down my karate and make it shit just to accommodate you because you don't want to work hard?
Mm.
That's my little bit elitist, and it rubs people up the wrong way sometimes, but
At least it's clear, right? There's nothing good about dojo that is not clear about what they do.
that's it. My guys know. My guys know what is expected of them. When you come to my dojo, you're going to sweat and you're going to fight.
Mm.
We do fight. We still spar. And I had a student once that was training, and their parents was like, "Oh, they like the cat, they like this, but they don't like doing any sparring." And I'm like, "Well, this is not the place for you, because you will fight for every grade. You don't have to be a tournament fighter.
Mhm.
You don't have to enter tournaments, but you have to fight in the dojo. And for each grade, you fight for it." So I started fighting from day one. From when you go for your 10th Q grading, your first ever grading, lots of other organizations don't do fights for them. I'm like, "You've got 2 fights."
Mm.
And it won't be little sparring with each other. You'll fight me or one of the other black belts, and we'll give you a little dig. You'll feel it. You'll understand what it's like to be hit, and you will understand what it's like to hit someone. Because if you haven't got those key aspects of karate, I think you're living a lie.
Mm.
I think you're in fairy tale land, just training up and down, punching the air, never punching a bag, and never punching a partner. You don't know what it feels like. So I do. I think I've seen some karate people that don't do any sparring. Oh, and you're like, "Oh, we don't do sparring. Why not?" "Because of our religious beliefs." But you're doing karate. Sparring is a part of it. What do you think all these arm movements are you're doing? Essentially, you're punching someone in the face. You're grabbing their arm, pulling it in, and sending a missile, bang, straight into their face. That's the action you do every time you do a punch. But yet you won't actually physically do it to someone, or you won't do it on a shield, on a bag. For me, I'm like your fairy tale. It's a fairy tale. It's not real. It's just, the term LARPing.
No.
LARPing is like when you dress up. I think like World of Warcraft games and stuff. You dress up like Vikings or whatever. You have foam axes and foam stuff, and you look chop, and you're like, "Oh, I'm dead. I'm on the floor." That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
Reenacting, right?
Yeah, you're reenacting karate and playing at it. Really.
So you said that you've got seminars where you're teaching, where people can find you.
Next seminar we're doing is in Holland. That's in
8th of February, you said?
8th of February in Holland. That's a 1-day seminar. And later on in the year, we'll be in Germany towards the end of the summer, and we'll be in Belgium towards the end of the year. Stuff pops up. It depends on my schedule as well, and how often I can get there. But the international seminars are usually, we call them the Ronin seminar.
Yeah.
Because, and how I tend to do it is I tend to look at a bit of bettering your karate, subtle little changes in your movement, in your hands, the angles. It makes your karate much more better. So it's for people who already do karate, and it's just slightly changing things for them. We'll have a look at the contact element of it. I tend to do a lot of the Tegumi grappling and throwing and stuff for Kyokushin bases, because they haven't done any of it. So it's all eye-opening stuff for them. So we'll spend a couple of hours doing that. And then usually the end of it is my application of it on the street. Everything that we've done in practice, this is how you would use it for real on the streets. We're grabbing the headbutt, the clinching, the moving, the getting out, stuff like that. Like, we can do seminars on whatever. It depends what the host country wants done.
Sure.
I've done seminar where we just do like kata, which is not really, you don't come to me if you want to do kata competition. You come to me if you want to understand what it is you're doing in your kata and how to transfer that into a real life situation. Basically, my forte and my strong points is that taking the stuff making it better and using it for real outside. But yeah, so I'll travel anywhere. It has to be economically feasible.
Sure.
So people, they usually, if I travel somewhere, there's a fee. They need to cover all expenses. But we do some good stuff. Like, the stuff we've done in Germany 2 years ago We had like 80 people there.
Mm.
We're in a castle.
Cool.
We were unlocking all the similar stuff that you do, Les. You know, you look at the grappling side of karate, and you like break down the naihanchi, and you look at like, oh, you could be doing this, you could be doing that, and when it's clicked for you, and you understand, oh shit, this movement with my arms is not elbowing someone behind me. I've grabbed someone's arm and twisted it, and I've locked them, and then it goes, boom, light bulb goes off in their face, and then they start to change the way they look at karate, and you think a punch is not just a punch anymore.
Yeah.
A punch is clearing a limb. A block is not a block anymore. It's a throw, it's a hold, it's a lock, it's a strike. So there's a lot more to our karate.
I like Shihan Cameron.
A lock is a
saying,
block, is a blow, is a throw.
yeah.
It is.
It's,
That's a fantastic saying. I like to think I made that famous for him, because it's his saying. He came up with it, but not a lot of people you heard it. And I started using it at all the seminars, on the podcast they used to do with Scott. A block is a lock, is a blow, is a throw. Fantastic little saying, and it covers everything. It covers it for you. The amount of people that do blocks, but they don't even think of them as a strike. Jordan Uke, forearm smash into the throat, boom. And when you speak to them, they're like, no, it's a block. Blocking a punch.
Yeah.
But it could be this as well.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's this. And you're like, listen, you are so closed in your nutshell that the karate you're doing is inefficient. It's not going to work. So you're basically just doing calisthenics and keeping yourself fit, which is fine. Absolutely fine. If you want to do karate to keep fit, absolutely fine. If you want to do karate to be a tournament champion, absolutely fine. If you want to do karate to be a fucking badass weapon that can handle himself in any situation, great. But you need to know which one you're doing.
Yeah.
You need to decide which one you want to do. Because you can't do the karate for fitness and then get into a fight and think, I am going to hold my own. Because you won't. And that's where people are a little bit deluded.
Yeah.
They're doing karate for fitness, karate for sport, and they think when they get attacked by a fucking 18-stone Irish welder who's drunk out of his skull outside a pub, they're going to do a sidekick and send him flying. It doesn't work that way, Les, as you know yourself.
Yeah, I think that clarity came from lack of clarity came from Japanese and advertising methods.
Yeah,
that you put everything on adverts. We do fitness, we do the self-defense, we do kata, we do sport, we do this, and people, karate instructors, worry about taking things out because they're gonna lose clientele.
Yeah,
Which that's why I'm not in the realm of self-defense. We're doing it for enjoyment, so I never put on advertising nothing about self-defense. And I think that's what the problem is with the karate. Is there's no clarity and people are afraid to go just one way.
people are deluded that they do karate, and you'll have a 12-year-old second dan in Shotokan or Taekwondo or whatever they're doing, and their parents are like, yeah, she'll kick your ass, man, don't mess with her, she's gonna kick your ass. And like, no, I'll tear her fucking arms off if I get hold of her. There's this deluded sense that because you remember certain techniques, Japanese instructor would say like, oh, if you do this technique you could kill someone, and then you never tried it because you were told it would kill someone, and then when someone does actually try it, they break their finger. And that's what we have. We have like generations of Japanified karate. I love the term, I can't think of what his name is now who does it. He's living over in France. You would know him.
Kisaki Kai?
Kisaki Kai. What's the name of the guy?
Vince Morris.
Vince Morris, yeah. His saying is reality over ritual. So Japanified karate has become very ritualistic. It has to look good and all fit together nicely. Whereas Okinawan karate didn't technically look good. It was a bit messy.
Yeah.
It was mixed up. It was Chinese white crane boxing mixed up with Tegumi wrestling, and it was messy, sloppy and stuff, but it worked. It was all together. Japan like everything to be, nice and ritualized and stuff.
Right.
So not Steve Morris, is it?
Vince Morris.
Vince Morris. He's got that saying where it is reality over ritual, which I think is lovely. So it has to work, And one of my key staples in the dojo is it must work. If it doesn't work, then we're not doing it, because it's pointless doing it, really. The same thing of function over form, form over function. Japanese karate tends to be form over function. As long as it looks good, it doesn't have to be good. Whereas I much prefer the technique works, doesn't look that great. And Oyama used to say a lovely saying. Someone said to him something about, "Oh, I did this technique, but the technique was wrong." And he said, "Did it knock him out?" He said, "Yeah, it knocked him out, but the technique was crap." He said, "Then it was right. It was the right technique. If it knocked it out and it worked, it's right."
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to keep in mind when we're doing our karate. It must work. You must be able to do something with it. You don't have to do something with it, but it's the same as having a hammer made of glass. It's like, it looks good, looks the part, but the moment I try to use it, it shatters. And that's what we got to keep in mind with our karate and your training.
Terry, where people can find you?
As terrible as it sounds, and it sounds so precocious saying it like this all the time, literally just Google my name.
Okay.
If you Google Terry Birkett, it'll bring up it'll bring up the Ronin Life group. It'll bring up the Backstreet Karate page. It's all there. But so that the Facebook page is Terry Birkett / Backstreet Karate. But if you put Terry Birkett or Backstreet Karate into Google, it'll bring up something that's there.
Cool.
And then you can just click on that.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Great. Enjoyed it, Les. Thanks
I will be here next year.
Next year. Thanks for making the effort to come down.
And my student, Martin, shame on you.
Shame on you, Martin.
Said already, can I come next year? So I sent him a picture. I think he is really ashamed that he didn't make it.
But like you said, people are building it up into something that it's not. Once you've done it, it's great. And you're like, yeah, that feels great. So I'll do it whether there's 2 or 200. I will do the same thing. First Saturday of every January.
Cool. We'll see you there.
Us.
Well done for listening to all of it. You are a superhero. Thank you very much for your support. And if you could leave us that review on a podcast platform, that would be amazing. I appreciate your time, appreciate your support, and I wish you all the best until the next one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.